Why property investments in Greece and not Italy or Portugal? And I always say because Greece is the best country in the world, and it's a collection of the whole world in one country. And also it offers high returns on your investments. So my name is Valeria Frunze, and I'm running an estate agency specialized in property investment, property development, and portfolio management. And I will elaborate more details about Greek real estate and why Greek real estate is the sexiest investments nowadays, and why you should focus on that instead of other parts in Southern Europe. So I will go a little bit with history so you can understand the depth of it. But until then, I will just say that Greece offers amazing investment opportunities with amazing returns. So far at this time, 2024, Greece still offers 8 to 10% returns on your investment if you're smart about it. And I will elaborate what smart means and how you should exploit your property or your investment in order to get this type of returns. But let's go back to the past so I can give you an insight of how this industry developed in this country. So we all know that the industry started to develop in around 2017 when it was set in stone, and it was going, so all the professional developers and investors were already dipping their toes into the market. When I say dipping their toes, starting to invest in small projects so they see how the market goes and how the fluctuation goes. We all knew by 2017 that Greek real estate, it will go higher, and we all came with our risk assessment to start buying properties and create redevelop the market. But also, we all knew that Athens, obviously, is the only capital in Europe where the center was still very underdeveloped, and no other cities or developed countries had these particular strategies because everything is concentrated in the center. So we came with the idea that the center is due to be redeveloped, and we want to be a part of this venture. We knew about several movements that the government already took decision on, like renovating Omonia Square and several other places like Panepistimiou Road, where they will transform it from a high street or avenue into a walking path. So they will shrink it out. So that will give a little bit of steady or a little bit of comfort to people who have a little bit of cash and they want to get some returns out of it. So I will start with the past, like 1980s era, where in that particular time, the Athinae that they were living in the center and mainly placed on regions like Kypselis, like Patission Avenue, Acharnon, and so on, they would have normally a plot of land outside, like places like Vouliagmeni, or places like Kifisia. And this plot of land, they will get permits to build an independent house or a villa. So whatever they will have savings, they will focus on getting a development over there. And with the time, they moved to their villas and abandoned the center. So for a couple of years, the center became ghosted. And several of that apartments, they will go on rent, but to immigrants or refugees. And with the time, these particular areas became bad areas. So when we say bad areas, it means there will be low budget accommodations for students, immigrants, refugees, and so on, or low class that they will do laboring around Athens. And of course, these particular families that they moved to the peripheria, to the outside of Athens, they would not enjoy coming back to the center. So for several decades, this particular regions went ghosted, and they were called as bad regions. And I'm talking about Kypseli, Victoria, Aharnon, Patition Avenue, Omonia, and so on. It will shift the dynamics from an aristocratic area, middle class, doctors, lawyers, and so on, into a low class immigrant, people on benefits, and so on. So, and then what happens is many of the apartments, they will be empty, like more than half of them will stay empty and just literally rot. Now, several years ago, the Greek government implemented a law where each property will have to be measured, and the owner of that property will have to pay a fee, a tax per square meter. And of course, every single family will have 2 or 3 apartments, a house in the village or an island, and some of them, they will have like a big villa with like 1,000 square meter residential use. So these particular square meters, thousands of square meters or hundreds of square meters, will create some sort of a liability towards the owner. And of course, it will create debts. So we have villas somewhere in Trachomakedonas or villas in Vouliagmeni that every year they cost the owner 20,000 euros in tax just because they exist there. So obviously, with the time, these particular properties created a black hole into the family's finances. And of course, because they live in that villas or their townhouses and so on, they will decide that they have to get rid of the extra square meters, so they will start selling the properties that they have empty, so that they are not used, the void ones, like apartments in Victoria, Patricia, Harnon, blah, blah, blah. So all these properties, they will be pushed sales because the owners will have too many debts and they will not be able to keep up with it. Plus, Greek real estate is a very new industry, so people will not have much knowledge in how to exploit their properties or, rent it out. And, until like 7 years ago, there will not even be specialized lawyers in the field. So it's such a new industry that even the lawyers that we have right now, they had to reprofile from our type of law into real estate law. So it's a very new industry, and every single individual will not have much information about it. So that leaves us with like a very little knowledge in real estate in general, and people will just sell that properties because they don't want to pay that tax anymore and sell for very cheap. Then step number 2 that the Greek government did was to implement a new law which was regarding the Golden Visa. So the Golden Visa project was a fantastic strategic planning for the government, and it was the cheapest Golden Visa in Europe, and thanks God they were executing it correctly, so they will honor their law and execute it properly, not like Italy. For example, Italy had many of Golden Visa rejected, and of course it created a very bad reputation for the country, so people will not want to invest in Golden Visa anymore. So Greek Golden Visa was a steady and a very secure investment for Far Eastern clientele, Middle Eastern clientele. So that created a new level of booming in the real estate part, because all these properties that they come out for sale, we would have buyers that they will be interested, international buyers with cash that will be interested to come and invest in Greece, renovate them, and created wonderful, comfortable, upgraded livings for themselves or even rent it out. So that was the boom number 2 that give a lot of dynamics and created a very good market for the real estate side and so on. And then the third boom was that with the time after the crisis, a lot of young professionals or students they will emigrate to the capital, and there will be high demand on rental, but not much rental available. Why? Because every single property, they will have 60 square meter plus. So they will not have many one bedrooms or studio flats. And obviously, students and young professionals, they will want a cheap accommodation, but a small one. Whole Athens was built in 30 years, like 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. And mainly in that particular era, the properties were built for big families. So this is a cultural thing. Greek people, they like to live together or in the same building. So like children and grandparents and parents will live in the same building, one apartment each, or in the same apartment. So all the apartments were built to be large, 3-4 bedroom, 90 square meter, 100 square meter, and so on. And there will not be apartments for like 35 square meter or one bedroom or a studio flat. So that gave us an opportunity to come here and create a new market, create a new product with very high demand, because we had the young professionals that will work in the city. We will have students that want to rent their independent apartment, not to share, because sharing it wasn't a culture in Greece. They want their independent place, privacy and stuff. And also teleperformance. Teleperformance is another corporate that was doing great in the last couple of years, and they will bring 9,000 employees every 3 months. And all these employees, they will need to be, hosted somewhere. So they will need a property to rent. So there will be a big boom of inquiries for real estate, but there will not be properties available to rent them. And that's where we come. We came here, we studied the market, and we understood that there is a lot of demand on rent, but not much rent available. And still in 2018, when we started to invest in Greek real estate, we will find properties for very low price. We will renovate them, and we will still have 15 to 20% return on our investment after the renovation, renting it to a young professional or a student. So that created opportunities for professional developers that know how the industry works, developed in other countries, and brought the ideas from England, from Germany, from America, and other places to implement it into Greek market. So that created a new wave of investment, not golden visa, but high risk, high returns. And it's mainly Israelis that they do things like that, Middle Eastern investors and developers and so on. So until last year, we would do this part. We will develop small independent units that match the standards of 2022, 2023, because we needed to upgrade the kitchens and the bathrooms. They were still style 1980s, 1960s, and so on. So we upgraded and rented for a little bit of a higher rent to young professionals or students. And then the next wave that was started to boom in 2019 particularly, and 2022 as well, it's the Airbnb market. So most of the investors, they will want to have an apartment in Athens, and they will want to have high returns. So they buy an apartment, they renovate it, and then they put it on Airbnb, and they create this facility as a hospitality business. And because Greece is living on tourism, there will be a lot of demand. For example, several years ago, every year going by, there will be 30 to 40% more tourism coming, and all the hotels will be full, and Greece will have enough capacity to supply the Airbnb market. So with this mentality, we created Airbnb portfolios. And as well, don't forget that Greece is one of the countries that has the entrance to Europe for immigration. So like all the refugees from any country, like Middle Eastern or even Ukraine and so on, this is the border where they enter. And many of these refugees and immigrants, they stay, and also they need to be hosted somewhere. So either they pay, or they pay by governmental programs and so on. So me personally, I created 3 type of portfolios. I have a portfolio for immigrants and refugees, which is like budget accommodations. So we didn't invest much in the renovations and so on. Then we created a portfolio for long-term rentals for teleperformance and young professionals and students. And then we have a portfolio for Airbnbs and service apartments and so on, and diplomatic apartments as well. So, you know, this is a thing that we were developing for the last 5 years. And now we have another wave, which is like quite interesting because the market fluctuates up and down, and you know, you can see how it goes and the dynamics and how it grows and stuff. So the other good news for Greek real estate was the Elliniko project. So Elliniko is the old airport which is placed in Riviera, the coastal line of Athens, and it has the seaside area, and it's between 2 areas. It's between Alemos and Glyfada, which are considered Athens Riviera, quite of a like high-end regions. And this particular Elliniko was abandoned after the Olympic Games because the new airport was built at that time in 2004, if I'm not, or 2014, apologies. So this particular land was abandoned and it was a void, so it was unused. So the Elliniko project was agreed and financed, and of course they start building it. And this particular project adds value to the whole real estate movement because we know that it's been executed, and as well it increases the value of the Riviera because it's new. So it will be the only tower, high sky tower, or how they call it, a very high building, because Greece has 5 to 8 floors apartment blocks. This will be a very higher than average, and also it creates a new market, a market of luxury properties. So with that, the market comes up and the price on real estate comes up as well. So it adds value in a way. Now, of course, all the Riviera started to go up in price, like triple in the last couple of years, and the center as well. So now we're going to a very steady market with foreign investment, with a lot of liquid cash, and it stabilizes it because we know that the Greek real estate is going into the right direction. Now we have several tricks that the government implemented that also, again, was a good decision for the Greek real estate, and also it balances and it cuts off the inflation. So we can see a lot of videos where Greek families are complaining that foreign investors are coming with their cash and they cannot compete on price and so on, but they don't know that the government has laws implemented that keeps the price down, and it didn't kind of create super inflation. Of course, the market is inflated, but it doesn't have a super inflation. Why? Because the market doesn't support speculative sales. So why? Because there is a law about capital gains tax. And of course, you cannot buy, renovate, sell, or you cannot flip apartments, or you cannot flip more than 2 apartments. So this cuts off the inflation and keeps the market steady, and it helps the economy because you don't have the boom straight away. You have the market going up and up, but in baby steps, not exaggerated boom overnight. So we do not have speculative market in Greece, which is a good news, and also that keeps the water calm, as I say. Why? Because, as I said, Greek real estate is a new industry in Greece, and of course, the notaries, the lawyers, and even real estate agents, they had to reprofile and specialize in it. And of course, because the market is so hot and we have thousands of transactions, contracts and purchases per day, they had to keep up and not get everyone crazy in the notaries and land registries and so on. So that balances the capacity, because they have properties to sell, but they don't have human capacity to process all that sales. So I know personally, because my notaries and my lawyers, they're working sometimes 16 hours a day to process the deals and execute the contracts and so on. So this particular capital gains tax is a law to protect the governmental employees and protect the notaries, and don't overload them with extra capacity and so on, because it takes years to become a notary. So they cannot just instruct another 1,000 notaries a year. It takes years for them to qualify as notaries or lawyers. So it keeps them calm, because there is no too many transactions or overly exaggerating procedure or processes. And also it keeps the prices down. And I'll give examples. So like speculative market is Dubai. So Dubai, the property, until it goes up on the market, it can be sold for like 4 times, 5 times for profits, and that increases the price, the value of the property, but also increases the price, creates inflation, which we don't want to happen in Greece. Now, the other rule is the golden visa was restructured, and instead of 250,000 investment, they have to do 500,000 investment in Athens, with the exception of the port area, which is Piraeus, and it's mainly it's not like a total residential area, and it was very, very left behind because nobody wanted to invest there because it doesn't have much to offer, and some areas next to the port. So this is another strategic way of developing that particular region without, inflating the prices and so on. So now Piraeus has a high concentration on golden visa, and of course in the next 5 years we will see it upgraded and it will look amazing. Yes. And the new law, which is also balancing the Airbnb market, because we have a lot of amateurs coming into the market and kind of creating high competition to the hotels and so on. So the Airbnb market, the short let market, of course, they need to pay another 13% VAT for each booking they get. So that will kind of split the competition and reduce the amount of properties they come out on the market, and also clean a little bit the amateur from the market, because we have a lot of people competing with the hotel and then somehow stealing the clientele from the hotel, because a hotel room has a capacity of 2 people, and let's say it's €60 a night, and a 1-bedroom apartment or a 2-bedroom apartment will be the same price, but it can have 4 to 6 people capacity. So that's kind of ruining the hotel business. And it's a good news, because in this particular field, the companies will survive because they will add this 13% tax as an expense. So it's convenient for them, but will remove the amateurs who don't know what they're doing, and, kind of reduce the balance the prices and also reduce the competition. So that's like some of the insights of what's happening now. And as well, good news, I can see tens and hundreds of new developments coming up in 2025 and 2026 with completely new era, completely new style, like New York style apartments, brand new, super modern, that young families can buy and still enjoy all the facilities. A lot of clubhouses are due to be launched, because I can see the market sells a lot of off-plan sales. So we have a lot of off-plan sales of New York style apartment with facilities and stuff, and clubhouses. So the market goes to the next level, and it will still keep going because we have a lot of clients that they're looking for land to develop. So why Greek real estate is because it gives you a very good return on your investments, and also it gives you a long time, a long plan investment. So it's not just you bought and you will have a couple of cash in the next couple of years. You will have a lot of profits for the next decade, I suspect. So come and check the market, see the prices, see the returns, and enjoy Greece and enjoy what has to offer. And if you need any information about it, I'm happy to respond to any questions or give you more insights on how this business works. Thank you.